South Sudan is in a state between war and peace. The two opposing parties say they are committed to peace implementation, but the process is taking longer than expected. Some South Sudanese have returned to a UN compound for protection, fearing a return to conflict. But the government promises calm despite stalled negotiations.
The government wishes to reassure those citizens that there is no going back to war or violence. Those who may be contemplating returning to the UNMISS camp or thinking of fleeing the town out of fear for their safety and well-being are advised to stay, because the peace process remains firmly on track.
The advance team of the opposition SPLM is expected to return to Juba after pulling out after disagreements on issues of security arrangement, implementation, the creation of 28 states, and the formation of a unity government before constitutional review.
So when will the TGONO be established? It will be established when the constitution is adopted and signed by the president. Unless the IOs change their mind, that is a different situation. If they change their minds and come back and say, yes, after this we will not be in a position to wait, then we may consider that.
The opposition, led by former Vice President Riek Machar, maintains a national unity government will only be formed after the peace deal is incorporated into the constitution.
The government is not supposed to be formed before the constitution. The constitution comes first. Let us finish with the constitution first. You know, you cannot have government without constitution. You can have constitution without government, because it is the constitution that can provide, government can provide everything.
Experts warn that if the constitution is to be reviewed, then the earliest the national unity government could be put in place would be in March. So with South Sudan continuing to face serious economic challenges in the absence of peace, the wait goes on. Patrick Oyet, CCTV, Juba, South Sudan.
Meanwhile, IGAD and its Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Committee and the former leader of Botswana, Festus Mogae, are reportedly eyeing the upcoming African Union Heads of State Assembly to pass decisions which should assess the aborted political process in South Sudan. And as CCTV's Grim Charlotte tells us, there is already a high level of frustration among mediators and monitors of the situation in South Sudan.
All desperate eyes are now looking at the soon-to-come African Union Assembly here in Addis to provide a rather robust decisions for the South Sudanese stakeholders to commit themselves for lasting peace. Even the chair of the Joint Monitoring and Evaluation Committee, otherwise known as GMEC, Festus Mogae, who is also former president of Botswana, said the 28 states that President Salva Kiir decided to form have brought the unwanted hiccups in the peace process and so need to be addressed to proceed forward. The Eastern Africa Regional Bloc, IGAD, as well as the African Union, had high hopes and expectations for the latest South Sudanese deal to finally put together the much-anticipated transitional government of national unity in South Sudan. Above all, for the process to help stop the 2 years bloodletting in the country. That hope is now dashed, at least for a known period of time. Some quarters inside IGAD tell you there is a high level of frustration among mediators and monitors caused by the failure of what could be a successful process of finally forming the unity government in the country. And they want the heads of state of the continent to put their hands in the matter and end it. Grumtala CCTV, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.